Hi, Mike Gold here from the IT Ministry at Hope Church Memphis. Today I want to take just a few minutes to talk to you about our Hope Shepherding Journey Map. This is a simple framework that pulls together many concepts we're already familiar with into one place. It helps us all connect across our different ministry areas with common, simple definitions. It helps us work together to move people from casual to core connections to hope, others, and most importantly to God through Christ. So with that in mind, before I walk us through what this shepherding journey map is all about, I want to take just a few moments to dig into some why questions. First, why hope? There are some great churches in the Memphis area, but we firmly believe that God has called us to a unique mission in our community, and we consider it a great privilege to engage our unchurched neighbors of every age and ethnicity to experience Jesus. Second, why the shepherding journey map? We believe that engagement in Hope's 4 pillars, worship, community, service, and generosity, helps people grow closer to God and others through Christ. A shepherding journey map will help us codify and enhance our current spiritual growth strategy such that everyone share the same language. Progress members from one level of spiritual growth to the other so they can live a joyful and powerful life representing Jesus Christ in a broken world. Identify and train up the next generation of core servant leaders so that Hope remains a cutting-edge gospel light. And create a leadership pipeline and matrix consisting of both volunteer and staff servant leaders. Digging further into why we need a shepherding journey map. So often in ministry, things look great from our perspective. We implement the latest innovation in ministry, we follow the latest research, and we all love what we see. The challenge is that we often fail to see things from the perspective of the people we love and serve. The journey map helps us see things from their perspective. It helps us maximize the use of information and technology to serve others. And ultimately, a well-defined journey map helps us get to know our people and their spiritual needs, and thus guide them toward greater sustained involvement in our pillars. So, what are Hope's 4 pillars? Well, biblical foundations for defining our pillars have been documented in our membership class materials. As a local church body, we define worship as corporate worship primarily through weekend services. This can be in person and or remotely in groups via video streaming through the Hope website, Roku TV, Firestick TV, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Community is growing in depth toward God and others in the Hope community through groups, classes, and other in-person or online discipleship opportunities. Service is investing time, talent, and spiritual gifts toward the service of God and His church as we reach out to help the least of these in the greater Memphis area and beyond. And generosity is giving financial and other resources joyfully and without compulsion to support the mission of Christ through Hope Church as an extension of godly worship, community growth, and service. Our 4 pillars help us define the engagement opportunities we offer to help people from every age and ethnicity experience Jesus. However, in order for us to better know our people and their engagement in these pillars, we have defined 4 levels of engagement with hope. God's word says, "Pay careful attention to yourselves and to all the flock in which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers to care for the church of God, which He obtained with His own blood." From the external community to our core members, each category defines deeper levels of engagement in the pillars of hope. Understanding where our people are in their connection to hope and in their maturity toward Christ can help us guide people toward deeper relationships with God and others. It will also help us build a strong, healthy church for the future. So how do we define these levels of engagement and how do they relate to our 4 pillars? That is the key question that starts to unify our focus and helps us work together toward fulfilling our mission. Starting with our external community, we have people in the greater Memphis area who may access and or receive public services from Hope that do not require any response or registration. This includes weekend worship services. We endeavor to reach out and identify people who are hurting, asking questions, new to the community, or disconnected, and introduce them to hope. People with a casual connection to hope are consistently engaged in at least one pillar or caring activity that we can verify in some way. If we have enough information to reach out to them and start to have a conversation, we can start to have a casual relationship. People with a committed connection are engaged in consistent weekend worship at least 2 times a month, plus at least one additional pillar. People with a core connection are Hope Church members engaged consistently in weekend worship plus at least 2 additional pillars. It's important to note that Hope Church membership or formal membership is required for core connection. Most caring activities require at least a casual relationship with Hope, and caring activities can be related directly to Hope pillars. However, in an effort to create safe, confidential spaces for people to work through unsafe experiences in life, caring connection opportunities run alongside of our primary shepherding path. People can ramp into and engage with caring services at any time during their shepherding journey. Now, before I continue, I think it's very important to mention that our engagement levels are not intended to directly measure a person's spiritual maturity. They are not badges of honor, levels of achievement, or stages of spiritual growth. I can't stress strongly enough that the purpose of our engagement levels are to help us understand how we can best serve the needs of the people we love and shepherd, and not to manipulate them on how they can better serve us. Now that we have defined our 4 pillars and levels of connection to hope, we can put everything together into a concise map. As we walk through the map together, it might be helpful for you to imagine your ministry's connection and growth opportunities positioned in their appropriate areas. As we focus on the external community, you might imagine your ministry having external community outreach and growth activities that aim to reach out and identify people who are hurting, asking questions, new to the community, or disconnected, and introduce them to hope. As we move toward casual retention and growth activities, you might have opportunities that aim to welcome people from the external community, help them engage in at least one pillar, encourage them towards consistent weekend worship, introduce them to additional hope pillars, and guide them toward a committed connection to hope and a committed relationship with Christ. As you move down the shepherding map, you can see caring ministry service opportunities like prayer requests, care requests, recovery groups, and more, or kitchen ministry opportunities like meals and food delivery. At any time, people on the shepherding journey map can ramp into those opportunities. As we move into committed retention and growth activities, you might have opportunities that inspire people to continue consistent weekend worship plus one additional hope pillar. You might encourage them to engage in additional hope pillars and guide people toward a core connection with hope and a Christ-centered relationship with God. Very often, as people move into the casual side of things, they start with weekend worship. But then when they move towards a committed relationship with hope and a committed relationship with Christ, weekend worship often falls off, and they might be involved in several other pillars but weekend worship. So in this section now, we can intentionally inspire people to remain faithful and remain consistent in their weekend worship. Now, as we move toward core retention and growth activities, you might have opportunities that inspire people toward continued consistent weekend worship plus at least 2 additional pillars. You might guide people towards continued depth in relationship with God through Christ and challenge people to reach back out to the external community to invite others and make disciples. Again, all along, people can ramp into these various caring services. I think it's important to see here that we are not looking to overload people with tons of extra involvement. Using a shepherding journey map model like this helps us be more intentional in helping people make the most of their time and energy. I'm going to take a few minutes to actually apply a hope ministry to this shepherding journey map in just a moment. But before I do, I wanted to add a technical layer to this journey map. As we add technology to it, we might see that at the beginning of our external community, we want to encourage people to create hope profiles early to enhance in-person and online pillar engagement. And then as they move into committed relationships with Hope and with Christ, we want to encourage people to further build out and use profiles to personalize and simplify in-person and online engagement in Hope Pillars. And then as we continue to move towards core relationship with Hope and with Christ, we want to promote and encourage people to further build out their profiles and use Hope technology and communication tools to help others grow closer to Christ and others in their community. And then we also want to let people know that they can engage in caring services anonymously or by using their Hope profiles at any time during their shepherding journey. Now I'd like to apply an actual Hope ministry to the shepherding journey map. As we look at this one, we see adult education, and we see in the external community outreach activities, they offer Encore life group events. The Encore ministry is part of adult education, and those events typically do not require registration. And adult education also offers Right Now media classes. And now as we move into the casual portion of our map, we see that they offer classes like Start Grow Lead classes, Encore life groups, and Wow Star classes, introducing Hope classes. Of course, people can ramp into the care services throughout their journey and then go into committed area of the map where adult education offers table talk and things like 8 a.m. Bible study, spiritual gifts assessment, and so on. And these will hopefully be targeted toward people who are or who have a committed relationship with Hope, and it will spur them on towards a core relationship with Hope, where we see lead classes, teacher development, and volunteer teacher opportunities. And hopefully these opportunities and activities will help guide people and inspire people to reach back into the external community to make disciples and invite people to Hope. Some of the technology that could be applied to here would be class searches, volunteer opportunity searches, connection opportunity searches, profile-based registration. As you may recall, we looked at the tech layer of this map where people can start to make a profile early on and then look through the rest of or look to build that out as they get more connected to Hope, and then hopefully have different learning management system functionality where they have learning resources, virtual or in-person engagement options, mobile check-in and attendance, leader and participant group messaging to communicate and connect with each other, and spiritual gifts assessments. Hopefully all of this kind of activity will not just be about technology. It's really targeted towards helping real connections happen in person, even if it's started through online activities or electronic technology. As we take a wide view of the shepherding map again, notice how the titles casual, committed, and core are smaller. And that's simply because the things we want people to notice aren't those titles. We want them to notice the opportunities we have for them to grow from casual to core. That's what helps keep us focused on their needs and not the things we use to measure their connection to Hope. As we end our walkthrough of the Hope Shepherding Journey Map, I want to take a moment just to give you a practical application for how technology can help with the entire process. First, we will assign one pillar to any connecting volunteer, event, care/prayer request, and or group activity wherever possible. So if it can be tracked electronically or recorded electronically, we want to assign it to a pillar. Second, as ministry engagement grows, we will be able to display shepherding insights related to a person's engagement with Hope Pillars. So for instance, let's take a look at our friend Tess Ting here. Let's say she's involved in women's ministry and someone in women's ministry is worshiping with her once a week. And we see a comment card from the last ministry activity within the last 90 days that she was here on the 17th. That was the latest time she was worshiping, and she filled out a comment card on that date. And we see weekend in-person chat engagement. So earlier this month, or earlier in July, she was online and she was chatting with someone or engaging with someone at our online info booth. And we also see that she was checked into live online worship on the 26th. Now, let's say that the leader in women's ministry knew this person really well and decided to manually say that they have a casual relationship with Hope. They feel like they know that person really well, and we want to make sure we give you a tool to manually shepherd someone or not just have some kind of automated thing that assigns a value to the person's connection. But let's just say now that you were unaware that Tess also got involved in a marriage and family group, which she attended on the 17th. And then she volunteered with Go and Do on the 16th, and she gave on the 10th. So it would give you insights, even though you were unaware or not able to follow up with every aspect of Tessa's life. It gave you insights into her connections at Hope, and actually saw that she is basically has a core connection to Hope, and now you can work toward inspiring her, encouraging her to continue that connection. Ultimately, I want to underscore that all of the technology, all of this process is set up to help us be on the same page and make real connections between God and others as we fulfill our mission here in the local Memphis community. Well, that concludes our walkthrough of the Hope Shepherding Journey Map. I hope you found this really helpful, and stay tuned for more information as we look to apply new technology systems to our ministry needs here at Hope. Thanks for watching.